be doing is what we call goddess locks. You can also call them toe locks as well. She'll have the curly hair at the ends. So I will show you the technique on how to, the crochet technique. I use the crochet technique because it secures the marley hair around the braid. Because if you don't crochet it in, you face the possibility of just the marley hair just sliding off eventually as the hair gets older. So with that being said, the tools you use, I use these souffle cups and these sticks so that I can put the product directly into the souffle cup so I won't have direct contact to the product from her head and vice versa. You'll need a crochet needle. You can purchase this at the local beauty supply store for $1. I have 2 combs, shining gem. I do use this to grip her hair. It is like a pomade. It's actually conditioner gel, extra hold. And I also use Mark. It's like a scalp remedy for dry scalp. This prevents the hair from being itchy, and you can use it for people who have psoriasis as well. And I personally like to use my carrot hair edge tamer. It gives me a better grip when braiding the hair. You'll also need 1 or 2 clips, some scissors. You don't want to use your shears to trim this hair because you'll dull your shears. And then you'll need, you can use any brand of the crochet hair in any style of the curl. It's just up to your client on whether they want a loose curl or a tight curl. Also, I do have a few brands of the Jamaican twist braid. This one is the Expressions brand. This is the jumbo pack. This is the brand I prefer personally because I like the way it looks over time. This is also a good brand. This is the model Jamaican twist, and this is the hair you'll be using to wrap around the braid. Okay, so I did start with braiding 3 braids already. I sectioned them off, and I also have to show you how to do that. I braided, you don't have to braid it all the way down, just enough to secure the braid onto the scalp. With that being said, I did use what we call a free part method. It's more of a circular parting. Again, that's up to your client, whether they want box parting method or a triangle, or they can go with the circular one as well. In my opinion, the circular parting method looks more natural, because if you ever pay attention to someone who has locks, they don't have like box parting or triangle parting permanently. So I'll go ahead and begin with wrapping first, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys how I parted it out, and then use my product to braid, and then I wrap the hair around. I like to use my thread spool holder when it comes to the curly hair, because it helps. It's already sectioned off, so I can just grab and go. So I take 2 strands of the marley hair on one side. I just kind of pull it apart so that they can blend together. On the other side, it really doesn't matter if you pull it apart or not. And I kind of need it to stay like this so that once I crochet it in, the hair won't intertwine and be hard for me to pull apart. So I take my crochet needle, stick it through the braid, take this hair, put it on the hook, close the hook, then I pull it apart, pull it through the braid like this. You don't want both ends to be even, because this one you're going to use most hair to wrap, and this is just basically to hold the braid.
Can you kind of turn this way a little bit? Yeah, that's better.
So when I start, you get a good grip on the hair. You don't have to don't have to pull very hard. You just begin your wrapping. I wrap to my left because I'm right-handed, but the way you wrap, that's totally up to you. There's no specific way on which direction to wrap it. So you just make sure there's a thick consistency when you are wrapping, so that you won't have lumpiness, and so it won't come apart and give you like a bubble look, so to speak. So you're just wrapping. You're not using a lot of tension, but you do want to use a little tension so that the hair can lay flat. So you just keep wrapping. You can go at whatever speed you like, but because this style takes a while to complete, you don't wanna wrap slowly because it's gonna take you forever. This hairstyle typically can take 6 to 8 hours if you're pretty good at it, but if not, it can take you 12 hours. When I first started, it took me like 12 hours to do one. That's a long time.
How much you charge?
Too long. It depends on what size you get. For about this size, it starts at 200. Okay, so again, you're just wrapping. So when I did her edges on the perimeter, it took me about 4 hours, and I just left this part out, so just adding the time, perhaps maybe like 6.5 hours. So when I get to the short piece here, you can use a piece of gel or what have you to help you knot it, or you can just go ahead and knot it that way.
You gonna cut that excess off and you gonna keep wrapping? Oh, never mind.
So you just knot it. I like to typically put 2 knots, but if you don't go with 2 knots, that's okay. So the excess hair that you have that you left out, you just take that. I wrap from the bottom, and then I come back up once the hair starts to thin out. And then I tie another knot to secure it. And I typically do 2 knots just to make sure it's nice and secure. There you go. And you can go in and clip it, or you can take a lighter and burn it off. The choice is yours.
So when you do this style, you don't have to braid it all the way down?
No, you just braid it enough so that the braid is secure on there. That was one thing that I didn't really know when I did it the first time, and it took me like 12 hours. I was braiding it all the way down to at least like here, and then going back around and wrapping it. That's the waste of time. Like, I wouldn't recommend that, when you could just braid it halfway down and then keep going. So again, you wanna pull the hair apart just on one side. This hair tangles a lot, so you do want to be careful when it comes to detangling, because you don't wanna get it in her hair and try to detangle it, cause you'll pull her hair. So then you wanna take your crochet needle. I'm gonna use black hair.
How many packs of hair does this typically use?
We're using about 6 packs of hair, and only 2 of the crochet hair. So with the crochet hair, you don't need that much, because you don't want the ends to be really thick, because that's more you'll have to trim, or it'll tangle, because crochet hair is synthetic hair. You don't want it to tangle when they're trying to put their hair in a ponytail. So again, you stick the crochet needle through. I like to twist the Marley hair to make it easier to be applied to the hook. Pull it through, and again, you want this end longer.
I'm gonna have a question.
Wrap. Yes.
Would you prefer, would you recommend doing, like, you know how they do the crochet locks that's already locked, and just braiding it down and then, like, putting it around in there?
That's your preference. If you wanna do that one, it's more, it costs more to do that, because the individual crochet hair costs about $7.99 a pack, and they only have about 12 in there.
So you need about 7 packs.
Right, you're gonna need about 7 packs when they could just purchase, depending on what size they get like this size, you just get 6 packs of the Marley hair, and it starts at like $5.99 a pack, and then 2 packs of the curly hair. But those are 2 different methods that people often do, and they do cost different prices.
But they take less time.
Right, because it takes less time, so typically the method that you're asking about costs less. because you're only doing individual braids and then you're crocheting it in.
So it weighs out.
Yeah. Time wise and money wise, yeah. If you want to do something quick and your client don't mind paying them for the hair, you could do that one, or you could do this method.
Okay.
So if it takes you about 6 hours to do it this size, have you ever tried to do them smaller? Have you ever had a client ask for smaller?
No.
That would be a nice.
How would you change the sizing?
Huh?
How do you change the sizing? Just
You make the
less hair?
part smaller and you would use less of the Marley hair. But it's typically just the part. You know, you can make them smaller with larger parting sections, but that's really up to you how you want to do it. But small, in my opinion, that means you want them small and you want more locks. So double how many locks she has in her head, so that's gonna cost you more. And again, you just go up the strand. I like to knot it in between, so it can be secured. Some people use a lighter. Some people just knot it. It's your preference. If you wanna use a lighter, you can. If not, it won't come down if you don't use a lighter.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
With the crochet hair, is that the curly hair?
Yes. So it typically comes in like 12 inch, 14 inch, 16 inch, 18 inch. I typically tell my clients to bring an 18 inch because locks are usually long, and this by itself, depending on which one they get, can range in between 4 inches, 2 inches. So you want the curly hair to be longer so that you don't have to add it. See, that's the problem too. So if, say for instance, she wanted her locks to come all the way to, I don't know, her calf. Just throwing out an example. She would have to purchase longer crochet hair, otherwise you'll have no other choice but to braid this all the way down, and then add hair and braid it down, then add it and braid it down. And that's even more. Yes, I would charge extra for that because it's more time. Because it's more time and I'm doing more work. Typically, most stylists kind of charge for longer length because of time, and time is money. So, yeah, so again, you want to twist it.
Turn it a little bit.
You want to twist it, make sure you pull it all the way through. You want to make sure this one is longer, and you start to wrap.
So with this hairstyle, how long would you think it typically lasts?
4 to 6 weeks is approximately how long I recommend that you should keep this hairstyle in, because you gotta remember, you're not shampooing your hair, you know, so you should maintenance your hair.
Is it possible to shampoo?
You can use like a dry shampoo for your scalp, or you can shampoo just your scalp. But how the shampoo or conditioner or dry shampoo will react to the hair, that's different. You know, it just depends. Because one tip that I did learn with this style, a lot of clients may not know, but they can have allergic reactions to Marley hair because it's a synthetic fiber, and it has chemicals in the hair. They dye the hair, they do different type of things to the hair. So you might have a client that say, oh, my hair was really itchy, or so on and so forth, and it's really nothing you can do about it because you're allergic to the hair. And that's with any synthetic or braided hair. So you have to keep that in mind as well, and you should mention that to your clients when they request a style like this, because you really won't know that you're allergic to anything until you come in contact with it. So that's one thing to be cautious about when you are going to do a style like this, or with any additional hair added. So again, you just knot the ends. So locks originated in 2500 BC, and in the 1900s, it became a religious thing for Rastafarians, so they wear locks. There's no specific date on when like people started to wear like fox locks, but the reason they began to wear them was because they didn't want to lock their hair permanently, so they came up with a solution to get the same look without it being permanent. So about 4 years ago, these hairstyles became very popular, and people started to add the curly hair at the ends, and instead of having more of a blunt look. When it comes to the product, you want to take a scoop, go ahead and put it inside of the souffle cups. You want to make sure that you have enough, so you won't have to waste time going back and forth between adding product, but you also don't want to waste product. So you do want to make sure that you have enough. So when it comes to parting, can you guys see? Okay, so I just go in circular motion with the comb. We can't see.
So do you like still align them up with any type of part, or it's just kind of random?
It's kind of random, but you do want them to be proportioned.
Okay.
So with that being said, you don't want them to look too out of proportion because it'll be obvious.
Right.
And I like to take like some type of oil, or I'm just using my Mark's scalp remedy and putting it on her scalp. Then I take my Shine Gem and apply it to her hair at the base.
So you put the marks on the scalp and then shine it in.
And so for the people over here who cannot see, I just
Oh.
part it out.
Oh, thank you.
Apply the Mark's scalp remedy. And then I add my Shine Gem to the base of her hair. Here. So I personally like to part them out first before I begin to braid. That's just what I do. It's up to you on how you want to do it at any time. You can switch up the method. It's personal preference. Some people will go ahead and part it out braid, part it out braid. I personally like to just part it out first so I can have an idea of where I'm going. Switch your head back a little. So then I also have a mental note of how many locks I have left. So again, I'm just applying the scalp remedy, adding the product to the base. And when you part it out first, this is just a mental thing I do. I like to part it out first because then you get more equal proportions. So you'll see like, oh, you might part it wrong and see that you only have this much hair left. And you don't want to already have it braided and then realize it's wrong, and then you have to take it down and start over. So when I part it out, I just part it out first. That way I can tell like, okay, well then this hair needs to be distributed to the left and some needs to be distributed to the right side. And see, here is where it gets a little tricky because she has more hair here, more hair here, which means I can take hair from this side on my right and distribute it to the left. That way they'll be more even. With this parting method, I think it's easier because with the triangle parting, it's like a puzzle. Like you have to sit there and figure it out. So you have no other choice but to do it. So here, I have 3, 4, 5, 6 more locks to do. So then you want to take about this much, but it's your preference how much curly hair you want to use. And then I'm going to begin to braid them individually. Again, this hair gets tangly, so you have to be careful. And you absolutely do not want to lot of tension when braiding the individual braids. Reason being, you are going to wrap the hair around, which is already gonna cause tension. So you don't want the locks to be super tight to the point where it causes bumps or your client is uncomfortable. So my braiding technique for individual braids, I hook this across to this one, and I make 3 equal parts, just like the 3-string braid. So what I do is, I also take 3 equal parts of her hair, and then I just begin to braid. Again, you don't want to use a lot of tension because you don't want it to be uncomfortable for her as you're twisting, especially around the edges.
I have another question.
Yes.
When it comes to like doing a client's hair and you want color, how do you decide on what color?
Okay, so when I initially started her hair, she didn't have color. So she just bought me the color today and was like, here, I want color. So it has to go in where it fits in. So this is a different case because I'm doing a presentation, but typically you just ask, like, okay, so do you want a lot of color, or do you just want them spread it out throughout the duration of, of the style, or do you want like 3 in the front, 4 in the back? And they'll typically tell you how many they want, or you can just judge by how many packs of hair that they bring. So they might bring all black and 1 pack of gold hair. So you'll be able to, tell like, okay, how far can I get with this hair? So, I'm adding black because I just didn't want her to have a patch of red hair. So I'm just adding the blacks in between to make it blend. So again, I just divide the hair into 2, cross 1 over, that leaves me with 3 strands. And then as I grip her hair, I divide it into 3, and then I just braid. Again, you do not want to braid tight. That is the key to doing the fox locks. You do not braid tight.
And that's so it can lay flat? So it can lay flat?
It's because once you get the wrapping the Marley hair around, it's gonna tighten up even more.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Is that why sometimes when I'm on Instagram and I see like this hairstyle, is that why their scalp is so neat? You know what I mean? Like it looks like it's
Pulling,
yeah.
right, you don't want to pull your client's hair out when you're doing any style. So like you have to watch your tension. Some people will be like, no, the tighter the better. No, you do not want to snatch out, damage your client's hair follicle. Because in some cases, once it's gone, it's gone. Okay, so again, you divide it into 2 pieces. You go ahead and divide it into 3 pieces. And you just braid. Again, this hair is very tangly, so you might get some knots here and there. Just make sure you have a good grip on the hair, so when you pull, it doesn't pull the client's head along with it. Any questions? No?
Mm-mm.
How do you take them down?
Okay, so with taking them down, you want to cut, or you can unwrap. So I typically just cut past where my hair is. Do not cut exactly where your hair is or anything like that. You could just cut at the end, like here, and then unwrap it, and it'll come down. So the individual, you'll unwrap the Marley hair, and then the individual braid will come down as well. So again, you divide it into 2 pieces, 3 pieces, sorry. Grab the hair, braid, you don't have to braid all the way down. Again, that is a big time waster. hair already, so I'm going to put some right here at the top. And because she already has 3 here, I'm just gonna add black there. So once you get comfortable with doing it, it goes by pretty fast and it gets easier as it goes. In my opinion, this is not a hard hairstyle, it's just very, very time consuming. So I'm applying some of the Shine the Gem starting to dry up, so I just applied a little more. And this is the last one I'm going to braid. So I just divide this into 3, and then I just braid.
So, do you know the amount of like hair you like to use when you want to braid? Like, do you take a little pinch or like what, like for each one before you loop it? You get what I'm saying? Because like as far as the width of the lock, does the amount of braiding hair that you use per braid determine?
Like does the amount of braiding hair?
Yeah, like when you doing the little piece, like
Okay,
you
so
braid
you
it out.
don't want to use a lot because the ends it'll be too much hair at the ends. And because the hair is so thin, it doesn't really, unless you use a lot of hair, it doesn't really impact the size of the lock. So with that being said, you just use like a pinch of hair. So you just take the crochet needle, stick it through there. I like to twist it to get a better grip, pull through. And you want this one to be longer. You guys see? And then again, I wrap to my left because I'm right-handed, but it's your preference on which way you want to wrap it.
I wrap the other way. Maybe I'll get better control if I do it that way.
What you say?
I wrap the other way, but maybe I'm gonna try wrapping that way, see if it's better control.
It's your preference.
You say, is it a difference? Really?
It's
Yeah,
just
cause
up to you.
I usually wrap like.
So are you being careful not to like over direct that strand? Cause I'm wondering if they get twisty looking.
So you want it to be flat. So that's why I pull the hair apart. So that once you wrap it, it lays flat. So you don't want to double wrap it on the same wrap that you already wrapped, if that makes sense. So, okay, so I already wrapped this. So if I wrap on top of it, you see how it looks? It looks bulky. So you want to wrap. It doesn't really, it only overlaps on the ends, but hardly. So you just keep going down the strand as you go.
That's why you constantly smooth it out as you go.
Right. So you just kind of pull it, not too tight because you don't want to rip the client's hair off. But you just keep wrapping, keep going down the strand as you go. So when you pull here, you want to make sure you have a grip with your opposite hand and just wrap. And then as you go, as you keep doing it, you'll get faster and faster because it'll become easier, repetitive motions. So once it starts to thin at the end, I like to knot it. Make sure you have a tight knot. And I'll knot it again just to make sure it's secured. And then the piece that you have on your left side, you want to pull that one apart as well. And then I personally like to go down the strand and then come back up, because as the first strand begins to thin, the lock begins to become smaller. So I'll go back up the strand so that it can thicken out and it'll be a consistent look. So again, you can either burn it or you can cut it. The choice is yours. Just to make sure it's secured on there. So because the strands are thinner, as you can tell the difference between this one and this one, because these are two different brands. That's why I personally prefer the Expressions, because you can just use one strand per lock. Unless you want a bigger lock, then you add more hair. Versus the model, you only get this one, this thin of a strand, so then you'll have to add more and do more blending between the two strands. In my opinion, with the one strand, it makes it easier because you won't get that bulky look. See how it still isn't blended together, so you have to do a little bit more work to blend them together. So then you take your crochet needle, stick it inside the braid, not directly through the braid, but the base of her hair. Make sure the crochet needle is open when you're doing that. You don't want to have it closed. And then you close the latch. You want the one that you're wrapping a little longer than the other end, and then you begin to wrap. As you can see, as I'm wrapping it, her parts look like they're more smooth. That's because the tension that you're giving it when you're wrapping it around is making the part, it's adding more tension to her hair, so as you go down the strand, so it gives you that fresh look. So that is one of the main reasons why you don't want to braid extremely tight when you're doing the individual braids. Again, you just wrap in a consistent motion, and as it gets thin at the ends, then I'll go ahead and tie a knot.
So is this the kind of hair you have to use, or can you use any kind of hair?
The Marley hair or the Goddess Loc hair, it just depends on the brand, on what they name it. It really depends on the look that you're going for, but the Marley hair resembles a lock more than just typical braiding hair. Gives you more, like the cake line hair gives you a more smooth look, depending on what brand you get. So you can totally tell the difference. It just depends on your preference. If you want like a more smooth look, then you can use the cake line hair if you want to. The only time I've done that was in class. Looks pretty good, but it doesn't look natural, so to speak. So you just tie a knot. Then you'll clip it. And you'll proceed to the next one.
How long does it take you to do those?
About 6 hours. I can say 6 hours, but it also depends on the person's head. If a person has a smaller, I'm gonna say circumference, it's a lot faster. But if someone has a larger one, it takes a little longer to do any hairstyle on somebody with a larger head. So, yeah.
Oh.
How much is the charge for that set?
Depends on the size. This size typically starts at 200. So that depends on the person. And you see how you keep wrapping down the strand, and it gives you like a consistent look. And again, you get faster as you go. And if you have your music on, okay to pull a little bit as you go if you feel like it's not tight enough, because you want it to be as tight as possible so they won't unravel. And then as it gets thinner at the ends, you go ahead and knot it. Then I go back up the strand, knot it as I go up the strand. And you can either flip it when as you're doing it, or you can wait until afterwards. It's your preference on how you want to do it. I have about 3 more braids and that's it. But again, this is a time-consuming style. You wanna, I twist it.
Can you already pull them through? Like have them already pulled through? Like go through each one now? If you already made it.
You could. You could do that. But the only thing about having them pull through already is as you're trying to twist them, they'll get in the way of each other. So you already have that problem with it. So you try to like clip it or pull it forward or what have you. But you don't want to make it harder for yourself either. You know, you want to, because the worst thing that can happen is that once you start twisting one, you realize you have hair from this one, and now you have to take it down in case you can't cut it, you know, and then you're just making a big mess. You want to try to be as neat as possible. That way it's easier for you to get through it and get done. So I've never seen that, you know, method before of someone doing that, but I'm sure it's possible. I guess it just depends on you and your preference, because what works better for you. I've never seen like a specific way on how to prep, but again, you just want to be professional, and time is money, so you don't want to
Hey,
yourself that, you know, try to do too much.
Patricia, how do people achieve the look where they be having like the little curls, like actually on the braid, on the lock? You know what I'm talking?
Yeah. So it's a couple ways to achieve that look. So what you can do is, once you crochet this hair in, you'll crochet in another piece, or you could just simply just take one of these out.
Oh,
And begin to wrap. You just
leave it out.
Your client hold it or clip it, and then just wrap around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty to me.
Yeah, it's called like a tree braid